Last night, millions of people had an argument that never happened. Not in real life. Inside their heads. They explained themselves. Defended themselves. Won imaginary debates. And by morning, none of it was real. So why does the human brain spend so much time preparing for conversations that never happen? Imagine this. You're lying in bed late at night. The day is over. Nothing terrible happened. No crisis is waiting for you tomorrow. No emergency needs your attention. Everything is fine. And yet, somehow, your brain decides that now is the perfect time to prepare for an argument that doesn't exist. You replay old conversations. You imagine future explanations. You mentally defend yourself against accusations nobody has made. You rehearse clever responses to comments nobody has said. It's strange when you think about it. If life is finally calm, why can't your mind stop searching for trouble? Why does peace sometimes feel so uncomfortable? And why do so many people spend hours preparing for conversations that never actually happen? The answer reveals something fascinating about the human mind. Because what feels like anxiety may actually be something much older. Something that helped our ancestors stay alive. Most people assume mental stress appears when life becomes difficult. That makes intuitive sense. More problems should create more worry. But real life often works differently. Sometimes the busiest minds appear during the quietest moments. You finally finish an important project. Your relationships are stable. Work is manageable. Nothing obvious is wrong. And suddenly your mind begins scanning for hidden threats. Think about the last time someone sent you a short message. Just a few words. We need to talk. Suddenly your mind created 10 different conversations. 10 different explanations. 10 different disasters. Before the real conversation even happened. It's as if the brain refuses to accept that everything might actually be okay. Why? Because the human brain was never designed with happiness as its primary goal. Its first job was survival. And survival often requires a very different set of priorities. For most of human history, the world was unpredictable. Danger could appear without warning. A missed threat could mean injury, exile, starvation, or death. But missing an opportunity rarely carried the same consequences. Over thousands of generations, this created a powerful bias inside the human brain. It became exceptionally skilled at noticing what could go wrong, not what was going right. This tendency still lives inside us today. The modern world has changed dramatically. But the ancient machinery inside our heads has not changed nearly as fast. Deep inside the brain, systems responsible for detecting threats evolved long before modern civilization existed. They weren't designed to make you happy. They were designed to keep you alive. And they would rather trigger 100 false alarms than miss one real danger. Which means your brain often treats peace as suspicious. Think about that for a moment. If danger detection is your brain's primary responsibility, what happens when there is no obvious danger? You might assume the brain relaxes. But often the opposite happens. It starts searching harder. Like a security guard walking through an empty building. The absence of visible threats doesn't always feel reassuring. Sometimes it feels like something important is being missed. And that creates a strange psychological experience. When life becomes quieter, the mind often becomes louder. Have you ever noticed how difficult mental silence can be? Many people spend years trying to reach it. Yet when it finally appears, something unexpected happens. The brain becomes uncomfortable. Because uncertainty begins to emerge. No immediate problems. No urgent tasks. No obvious threats. Just open space. An open space creates questions. What if something goes wrong tomorrow? What if somebody is upset with me? What if I missed something important? What if a problem is already forming and I simply haven't noticed it yet? The brain dislikes uncertainty far more than most people realize. In many situations, it would rather imagine a problem than sit with the possibility that one might appear unexpectedly. This is where those imaginary conversations begin. At first, they seem random. You picture a future disagreement, a difficult meeting, an awkward interaction, a confrontation that may never happen. But beneath the surface, something deeper is occurring. Your brain is running simulations. Much like a pilot training in a flight simulator. It is rehearsing possibilities, testing responses, preparing defenses, exploring outcomes. Not because it enjoys worrying, but because it believes preparation increases safety. From the brain's perspective, every imagined conversation serves a purpose. If someone criticizes you tomorrow, you'll be ready. If somebody misunderstands you, you'll know what to say. If conflict appears, you won't be caught off guard. The rehearsal creates the illusion of control. And control feels comforting. Even when the threat itself is imaginary. Here's the strange part. Most people think they rehearse conversations because they're afraid. But often the opposite is true. They rehearse conversations because they care. About relationships. About belonging. About being understood. The argument inside your head is often an attempt to protect a connection that doesn't even need protection. This reveals a surprising truth. Many of your worries are not signs of weakness. They are signs of preparation. The problem is that preparation has no natural stopping point. Once the brain learns that imagining future scenarios feels useful, it keeps generating more. And more. And more. Eventually, it starts preparing for events that are increasingly unlikely. This creates a strange paradox. The safer your life becomes, the more subtle threats become. When physical dangers disappear, social dangers take their place. Thousands of years ago, survival depended on avoiding predators. Today, survival often depends on maintaining relationships, reputations, and social belonging. Your brain understands this. Which is why modern anxiety often revolves around judgment, embarrassment, rejection, failure, criticism. Imagine sitting alone on a peaceful evening. Nothing is happening. Nobody is speaking to you. No conflict exists. Yet suddenly you're debating someone inside your head. You're explaining yourself. Defending your actions. Winning an argument that nobody else knows exists. It feels irrational. But in reality, your brain is practicing for a social future it wants to survive. The interesting part is that most of these futures never arrive. And yet the rehearsals continue. Why? Because your brain is fundamentally a prediction machine. Every second, it asks questions. What happens next? What should I expect? What should I prepare for? What could go wrong? The goal isn't accuracy. The goal is readiness. A prediction that helps you survive is often more valuable than certainty that arrives too late. Conversation rehearsals are simply one expression of this predictive system. The mind attempting to reduce uncertainty before uncertainty arrives. And this can feel productive. Preparation often feels responsible. It feels intelligent. It feels proactive. But endless preparation carries a hidden cost. Because the body doesn't always distinguish between real threats and vividly imagined ones. Picture yourself mentally replaying a future confrontation. Your heart rate increases. Your muscles tighten. Stress hormones activate. Emotionally, the experience feels real. Even though nothing is actually happening. You're fighting a battle inside your imagination. And your body responds as if the battle exists. A person can become exhausted by problems that never occur. Drained by arguments that never happen. Stressed by futures that never arrive. The preparation creates genuine emotional consequences. While solving absolutely nothing. This is why some people feel mentally tired even when their lives appear relatively stable. Their minds have been working overtime in realities that don't exist. And this brings us to one of the hardest truths about relaxation. Most people think relaxation means removing uncertainty. Finishing every task. Solving every problem. Preparing for every possibility. But that goal is impossible. Life always contains uncertainty. There will always be unknowns. Unexpected events. Unanswered questions. Future situations that cannot be predicted. True relaxation requires something much more difficult. Trust. Trust that not every future problem needs to be solved today. Trust that uncertainty can exist without danger. Trust that unanswered questions do not automatically become disasters. Trust that peace is not merely the calm before a storm. For a brain designed to survive, this can feel deeply unnatural. Because survival taught the brain to anticipate. To prepare. To predict. To remain alert. Yet peace often requires the opposite. Not constant prediction. But acceptance. Acceptance that some things cannot be controlled. Acceptance that certainty is limited. Acceptance that not knowing is sometimes perfectly safe. The next time you catch yourself preparing for an argument that hasn't happened. Defending yourself against words nobody has spoken. Or replaying a future conversation for the 100th time. Ask yourself a simple question. Am I preparing for reality? Or am I preparing for a possibility? Because sometimes the mind isn't searching for solutions. It's searching for certainty. And certainty is something life rarely provides. One day, your brain will stop predicting a future that never arrives. Not because uncertainty disappeared. But because you finally realized something important. Most of the disasters you feared never happened. Most of the arguments you rehearsed never occurred. Most of the futures you prepared for never existed. And perhaps peace begins the moment you stop demanding certainty from life. Because the future was never the problem. The problem was believing you had to live there before it arrived. Your brain's greatest strength is its ability to predict the future. Its greatest weakness is forgetting that the future hasn't happened yet.